Lived out abroad now for nearly 15 years, and I feel like I can offer a little bit of realistic insight into what you might want to expect, what you might want to think about if you are thinking of making the move. The thing I want to quickly say is, for the first few years that I was out here living abroad, life was easy. Year to year, it's literally like a 1-year visa, 1-year contract in your job. You just see a year off. Yeah, I'll do 1 more year. It's easy. And I know a lot of people who live like that. Maybe they're living the same life now in their 30s as they did back in their 20s. Those of us who life becomes a little bit more serious, a little bit more intense, you want to get married, you want to think about having kids, it does become trickier the longer that you're out here. If you're thinking of popping in short term, 1 year, 2 years max, no problem. You're thinking you might want to leave the rat race behind, start a new life, and set up some long-term roots out here, wherever that may be, then this advice might help you. So I've come up with 5 things that I think are really important to think about when you make that leap of faith. You leave the UK, the US, Australia, Zimbabwe, wherever it is you're watching from behind, and you start a new life elsewhere. Number 1, money is king. I moved out here. I started off by doing some teaching, which was a great way to get a visa, to get a base out here, and to keep the money rolling in, especially in countries like Korea. They give you a really good package. They'll take care of you. You don't have to think or plan a whole lot before you come out here. Problem is, a lot of people kind of put their eggs in one basket. So whereas back in the UK, if you work in a bank, for example, and for whatever reason that doesn't work out, you can change industries with ease. Whereas in many of these countries, guys, especially in Asia, your job is going to directly be linked to the visa, which means you're only going to be allowed to do certain things. Number 1 is actually not to think too much or stress too much about how you're going to make money when you first come out here, but think about the long-term prospects. Be working on other skills. I have transitioned into other lines of work during my time abroad, and it was because of decisions I made 5-6 years ago and skills that I started to acquire, qualifications that I was starting to work on, that I was eventually able to somewhat transition. It's not even been a full transition. It's just a case of now I have other options, other ways of making money, whereas previously I literally just had that one source of income. I've seen so many people on YouTube recently who are coming out to Japan to study Japanese, and that's brilliant. Learning a language when you move abroad is fantastic, but I just want to give everyone a word of warning that if you think studying Japanese, getting a qualification in Japanese means you are then just going to be able to walk into a job, you might be in for a rude awakening. That's not to discourage anyone, because I don't have that personal experience, but when I was working in the teaching industry, I met plenty of people who had studied Japanese, who spoke perfect Japanese, yet they were doing the same job as me, someone who was really at baby level. And I think the idea they had after they finished that qualification probably didn't pan out the way they were expecting. And speaking of language acquisition, number 2, I'm going to call this one, learn some survival skills. Yes, when you come out to a foreign country, to learn the language, on paper it's obvious it will make life easier for you, but in reality, some of these languages aren't quite as easy as others. And especially for those who are not coming out here to study the language, or who didn't study the language back home, probably going to be starting from zero with this completely new language that has very little relation grammatically to English or whatever language you speak. It can be difficult, but my piece of advice for you would be learn the basics, because a demonstration of intent is better than a demonstration of nothing. If you are interacting with locals, with your colleagues, etc., in broken Korean, broken Japanese, that's better than just expecting them to learn English. And I'm no angel when it comes to learning languages, by the way, guys. I only learned to read Hangul maybe a year after I arrived in Korea, because at first I found it so daunting, but then I found this really good YouTube video, I wish I could remember it, that made it really super simple, like baby level. And then I remember being sat on the bus that night, going home, looking up at the street signs and challenging myself to read the names. It's a great feeling once you can finally communicate in these languages, whatever the level. You don't have to be fluent. Some people will be fluent, good for them. But if you're one of those people who struggled with languages at school, maybe you're going to struggle with languages now. Just because you're going to move to another country doesn't mean you're immediately going to pick it up. Be able to get in a taxi and give your direction in their native language, or in a supermarket when you want to know where something is. It shows intent, and I think people appreciate that. For the last 15 years, I have met so many people from literally all walks of life, from every corner of the world. And be realistic. Just because you have been watching some guy on YouTube whose girlfriend speaks perfect English, it doesn't mean that you are going to meet a girl who speaks perfect English. Because you're seeing a representation of family life in Thailand, it doesn't be my channel, doesn't mean you're going to be able to come out and find that. My wife, yes, she speaks very good English, she's trilingual, she's very, very intelligent. Even so, we had to figure each other out at the beginning, work out each other's sense of humor, especially my weird ass sense of humor. Sarcasm is something that just doesn't exist in certain languages. So you have to be patient and realistic when you meet someone from another country. And also remember, because this is the thing that sometimes I can't believe I hear people say this online, guys who are in Thailand just can't deal with the language barrier. Stay at home then, because people speak your language. And that's not me saying don't come out here, but if you're going to complain about that and use that against someone, you're probably not the sort of person who is suited to this long term. You're going to live out here. You have to remember, you're the one that is being adapted to. You are the one who people are making an effort to speak English, because this isn't their first language. On the topic of relationships, guys, remember that there's another side to this new life. It's the relationships that you are leaving behind. A lot of my friendships with people back home, none of them have ended, except one guy, unfortunately, a little bastard. A lot of them have been hindered in the sense of, like, there's people now that I used to speak to every day that maybe now I'm in a group chat with them, but we barely speak one-on-one. There's certain friends that I do speak to regularly one-on-one, and there's other people who you kind of just like lose contact with over time. And when you go back, you'll still see these people, but it won't be as strong, or it won't feel as special as it did before. And that's just normal, because you have removed yourself. Can't expect people to just be sat there thinking, oh, I wonder what Tomo's doing. Oh, I want to speak to Tomo, because they're getting on with life. Tomo removed himself. I'm Tomo, by the way. Tomo removed himself from the situation. So how can I expect people to always be chasing me? I'm not talking about best friends. I'm not talking about family. Obviously, I'll always be welcome back in the UK, but it does take its toll losing those relationships over time. I just remember nights out with my boys in 2000, I don't know, 9, 10, etc., where there'd be 7, 8 of us getting absolutely smashed, doing stupid shit. I don't get to experience that anymore. I miss that so much. My friends, they've all grown out of that now, in the sense of, like, everybody has grown up. But I think because I disappeared at the peak of that, I miss it even more than I would if I was just back home now, missing the olden days. And number 5, guys, last but not least, it's the big one. If you want to move abroad nowadays, let's be honest, what is inspiring this? It's what you're seeing on social media. Maybe even someone like me. Trust me, my life is tough as shit at times. There's all sorts of stressful things going on that I don't talk about on this channel, because I'm trying to put out a positive message. But it's just like living back at home. The stresses of life follow you everywhere. And just because you're seeing a representation of perfection on social media, I think it's unrealistic. I think a lot of these influencers, especially the type of people, they get famous for a reason. Like, I think there's one guy who speaks really good Thai, for example. Nowadays, he's like, oh, when you're in Thailand, don't forget to come to this Italian head spa. Everything on social media to me looks fake, including people representing life abroad. Because I've been here for 15 years now, does that make me better than other people who are abroad for like 2 years, 3 years? It gives me a bit more insight, because my first 2-3 years, yeah, I was just living life freely, not worried about shit. But if you really do want to stay out here long term and you want to have a normal life, you want to settle down, put down some foundations. I don't feel like I've got any foundations here. I've got my wife, I've got my baby, they are my foundation, but I don't feel like I've got those foundations like you have at home. That's something that really plays on my mind. I am a very analytical person, and the longer I'm out here, the more I analyze the situation that I'm in. So I want to share that idea with you guys, that reality with you guys. Those who think to themselves, I really hate life back in the UK, it's depressing the life out of me, I want to start a new life long term. These 5 things I've discussed in this video are just something to think about that might prepare you, maybe not for immediate difficulties, but maybe some difficulties that might come down the line. Hope this one's been helpful, guys. A little ramble as usual. I think I'm going to call this the reminiscing series. Maybe I'll make a little playlist of me just reminiscing, analyzing, reflecting on the last 15 years abroad. And the truth is, I've only been abroad for 13 years, so I can drag this out for 2 more years, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.